Well, let's see here. I might not be Morgan Freeman, but this is... Classic Gamer Reviews.
Every once in a while, a game comes around that promises the world. Spore did the same thing, promising endless possibilities, but after years of hype, the finished product wasn't what most had hoped for. State of Decay is not like that. Amongst the rise of popularity of zombies in the media, State of Decay not only successfully reanimates to what many feels as a dying and overused concept, but brings to the table elements that many have only dreamed of having in a zombie video game. However, like a decaying corpse, the game takes a few stumbles along the way. Ed, are you feeling okay? One of the many things that sets this game apart from other video games is the fact that it has permadeath, meaning that when a character dies, that's it for them. Just because your character is important doesn't mean that they can't die. In fact, in my first file, the character that you first start playing as died a horrifying death. Permadeath effectively forces you to not play like an idiot, and forces you to start becoming a zombie-killing badass. But when you die, it's not game over. You switch to a new survivor, and since each character has their own stats, losing a highly skilled survivor effectively makes you feel like shit, and the overall feeling is much different from other games with permadeath, like Fire Emblem. Because unlike Fire Emblem, you're 100% directly in control of your character when they die. In most cases, that is, but we'll get into that. The open world is littered with goodies and cars for you to steal and take, but they never replenish, giving you an impending sense of doom. But if you're a smart survivor, then you should be able to make it alive. You can build gardens so you don't need to rely on food you find, and you can build medical stations, fix up cars, because once they break, that's it. And this stuff really hasn't been done in other zombie games. DayZ is a bit like this, but DayZ is about as approachable as a rabid bear. With a gun. And thumbs. It's not approachable. That's not to say you can just pick up and play a State of Decay. There's definitely a learning curve to it, and the game is able to call you out on stuff that you wouldn't think a game would. For example, if you stay in a base too long and never move it, the scavengers, who go out in real time by the way, will eventually exhaust all the resources from an area, forcing them to venture farther and farther out. This in turn is much riskier and can result in their death. So just when you think all is going well, it all turns around and you start to think it may be best to move the home base. But there's only so much places you can move the home base, as it's required that they have a wall around it, but you can set up an outpost in 99% of all the buildings. All those buildings and homes have resources for you to scavenge, which is done by holding the prompted button, and can be done in two ways, slowly but quiet, or fast and loud. And when you make that loud noise, that's where things get interesting. As you start to think to yourself how you made noise by just looking at a drawer, you'll just as quickly be surrounded by zombies who want to kill you. You can defend yourself by dodging attacks, attacking, and shooting. While the shooting controls do feel a bit wonky, they aren't the worst I've used. That award goes to any GTA game before 4. Melee attacks drain your stamina, which is needed to attack and run, and be like a functional human being and not look like a complete pansy. There are your basic stealth attacks and special attacks, which aren't as good and gruesome as Assassin's Creed's, but for what they are, they're good. It should also be noted that these zombies need to be taken out by destroying their head or fucking ramming them with a car. The tension you get from a failed or incoming zombie attack is an amazing feeling, one that has your ass as tense as, I don't know, something. Knowing that one fuck-up can kill your character is pulse-pounding, but that adds to the game's greatness. Attempting to run away from a horde only to be ripped apart is a moment I won't soon forget. Props to the undead friends though. For zombies, they react like zombies should. They go to the point of origin of sounds they hear, and it's really cool to observe them from a distance. While shooting a propane tank, I'm so fucking sorry, Hank Hill. It was really neat to see a bunch of zombies minutes later stumbling towards the noise from far away. They have a good attention span, so don't think just because you drove past some zombies that they won't eventually catch up to you. The zombies are attracted to sound, and therefore blaring your horn outside a house to distract the zombies from attacking a friend is a real cool feeling. You can also use things like alarm clocks and dolls to make noise to distract zombies. Of the zombies, there are a few special infected, some big and bulky, and some fast with an urge to rip you in half. State of Decay does a great job of letting you know that you're not special. Unlike other open world games like GTA, the world doesn't revolve around you in State of Decay. Instead, the world evolves by itself and you're just there for the ride. The survivors in State of Decay will go about their own stuff, and neighbors will contact you about trade offers or ask you about assistance, gaining you more trust with them and what I like to call happy points. No, not those happy points.
God bless. God bless.
The happy points are really called influence points, and you can get those by helping your community and other communities. Because you're all in this together, you can't take everything from your community. Instead, the more you put into your community, the more you can take. And some weapons require more influence points than others, so taking those out can be a bit difficult. But it really works out as a good idea. Relationships with people are important in this game, almost as much as maintaining and being part of a rising community. The problems in head scratching comes into play when you have to think of population. Should I have more people giving me more protection but require more resources, or less people but not go through the supplies as quickly? More difficult decisions include sick people, forcing you to do nothing and hope they survive, but risking a death in reanimation, killing some of your survivors, or you can play it safe and take them out on a walk. Jesus Christ! Yeah, and do that, I guess. Best achievement ever! Now, while I worship the ground State of Decay pisses on, it's not to say that the foundation that piss lies upon is preferable. For those who aren't into proverbs, I'm basically saying the game has its faults. These faults do have the potential to change, but for this part, I want to reflect upon a review I heard a while back in Game Informer, I believe. It said that a game cannot be judged on what its potential could be at some point. Instead, it needs to be reviewed as is. So before I go into the faults of the game, I just want to point out that this game is great, and I love it, and it fucking rocks. But kidney stones are also rocks, and those are painful, which is a good enough transition for me. This game can be painful at times. When the survivors go off and do their own thing, more often than not, since time is still going when the Xbox is off, you'll come back to a low morale base, with the chance of a few survivors of yours that you spent so long leveling up, dead or lost. This does plan on being fixed soon, but as of right now, it's not. That alone can be annoying, but what's annoying is when your lost survivor is found next door from your base, and you're left to question their mental health. I would likely just as assume that each survivor is going through puberty and having raging hormones and mood swings, as it seems no one can really get along in this game, and they constantly need to take walks with you to get the community morale up. I like the idea of lost survivors and disputes amongst them, but it happens so often that it's more of a chore than anything else, really, and it prevents you from doing what you want to do. The game also suffers from a frame rate that sometimes chugs along at a meh pace, but it's not so bad. Aside from those things that I just mentioned, there's not much else to complain about, and the glitches themselves aren't really game breakers. In fact, most of them are actually pretty funny.
This is bullshit. We're just trying to survive out here. You can't kill us for that.
We can if you're using witchcraft to float.
Uncle Sam would seem to disagree with you there. 26?
Yeah, I'd be panicking too if I was floating.
This is about the biggest crock of horse shit ever.
A lot of these problems are set to change and be fixed through updates, and even online co-op is being considered. But the important thing is that State of Decay is a fucking fantastic game. More so impressive is that all this content is available for only 20 bucks, and it's an Xbox arcade title. To that, I say a surprising fuck. If you want to see how long you'd survive in a zombie apocalypse, or just love zombies, or want to have a fun time, then download this right away. You won't be disappointed. This game features a good length campaign, over 100 weapons, and enough content to keep you coming back for more. For those without an Xbox 360, this game will eventually be released on the PC. Best achievement ever!